Hi, and welcome to the Journey Through the Generations podcast. I'm Trisha, and today I'm going to be talking about the sons and daughters of the United States Middle Passage. The sons and daughters of the United States Middle Passage is a lineage society, and it's much like the daughters of the American Revolution, with the exception of it is dedicated to the lineage of a person who is from an African descent that was enslaved in the United States. But like the daughters of the American Revolution, you do have to be able to provide documented proof that you are related to someone who was enslaved in America during slavery, obviously. And I learned about this organization on Facebook earlier this year, in March or April. And I looked up the organization and I saw that they were accepting members. So I emailed the generic email that they have on their page looking for some information on how do you become a member? Is it open to the public? Do you already have to be a member of a different lineage society? What the requirements were? And they responded with an email and basically said that anybody is could be accepted into the organization. Of course, you have to fill out the application and you do have to prove your lineage to a person who was enslaved. And you had to provide documented evidence. And that was the part, when I read that part, that was the part that I was like, documented evidence, because they said census records, vital records, church records, court records, anything that is tangible that you can actually go to a library or archive and look on the microfilm and be able to find it. And they did specifically say that unfortunately oral history would not be acceptable. So I was like, well, I know my third great grandfather on my mother's side was a slave. We have documented the newspaper article in the Arkansas True Democrat that has his emancipation papers in it. So I said, well, if I can link myself to Robert Hatchett in documents that would be acceptable for this organization, this is something that I should be able to be accepted in. So I took this as a challenge, as I do with most of my genealogy research, and I looked through what I already had on the Hatchett side of my family in my family binder. And I, of course, have my own birth certificate that links me to my mother. I have my mother's birth certificate that links her to her father. I have my grandfather's death certificate that has his father's name listed on it. And I have my great grandfather's death certificate that has his father's name listed. So I have five generations of documents that were acceptable. They were all vital records from the state of Arkansas, that has the certificate number and everything on it that I could be able to copy and send in. So the next step was I had to link Peter Hatchett, my 2 times great grandfather, to Robert Hatchett, my 3 times great grandfather. And I had to prove that Robert Hatchett and his family were enslaved in Arkansas. During this time, I was doing this research. It just so happened that I was also preparing for a family reunion, the Hatchett family reunion in June of this year that would be in Atlanta, and they had asked me to present some family history. So I was finishing up my presentation and I had gone to the state archives looking for Peter and Robert Hatchett's minister credentials, because I wanted to be able to show where they were ministers in Arkansas when they were alive. So I was able to find their minister's credentials, and the one that I found for Robert Hatchett actually had Peter Hatchett's name on it. It had the Reverend Robert Hatchett, 1796 to 1868, became a Baptist preacher in Alabama and was brought to Jackson County in 1860. He and his family received their freedom papers in 1862 at the Pickett Plantation by Union Army General Curtis. Reverend Hatchett preached in Jackson County and Woodruff County, as did his son, Reverend Peter Hatchett. So I had this document. It had both their names in it. It had that they were released from slavery. So this is what I felt should be the last linking document that I needed to prove that my lineage did go back to slavery. So I got all my documents together, my birth certificate, my mother's birth certificate, the death certificates, the minister credentials, and a copy of the Arkansas True Democrat from July 1862 that stated their Robert Hatchett's emancipation papers. I had my documents. And of course, I had a second set of eyes look at all my stuff. My husband, he went through it. And that's how I originally figured out that I needed a better linking document, and I went to look for something else. So I got my application ready, and I put everything in the mail. That was in June, I believe. I believe it was right before the reunion, so it was in June. And they said that it would take anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And so I put my stuff in the mail, and I played the waiting game. And then on August 7th, which happens to be 4 days after my birthday, my husband checked the mail, and there was an envelope there. And he knew immediately because, of course, the return address was the sons and daughters of the United States Middle Passage. And he was like, I think you've been waiting on this. So, of course, I open it, and there is a letter, very nice letter, that says that I was... my application for membership had been accepted by the board of directors on July 20th. And therefore, and after, I will be a member of the Sons and Daughters of the United States Middle Passage National Society, which is very exciting. I've been doing this research for about 7 years now. I mean, really seriously researching for about 7 years. And I spend a lot of time in libraries. I go to the archives a lot. I'm on the computer at home a lot researching. I have papers and binders and things scattered all over the house. And when I saw my certificate and I read the letter and saw who the board members, are, and that a group of other family historians and genealogists went through my application and saw the documents and the records that I provided, and they said, yes, all of these are acceptable. They meet the criteria. It was so overwhelming because I felt like all of those years of me being in the library and all the money I had spent on gathering death certificates over the last 4 years. And at the time, I didn't know what I was going to do with all these death certificates. I just knew I needed them or wanted them. And for those to be able to help me get into a national society that is for African Americans who descend from slavery means so much to me. I can't explain it at all. But I'm obviously trying. But the Sons and Daughters of the United States Middle Passage is a wonderful organization. They provide, they have a database on their computer with records specifically about African American genealogy and slavery in America that will not only help me research the other branches of my family, and hopefully I can track other of my relatives and ancestors into slavery and learn more about them. But for all of the people who want to know more about their heritage, their family, this organization is absolutely wonderful. And they also have an annual conference in spring that they, of course, discuss the new trends in African American genealogy. They have all these awards for people who are doing great things with family history and African American history and genealogy. This past year, the Freedmen's Bureau at Family Search was launched, and they recognized that because obviously that's huge in African American genealogy. So I'm very proud of this. This is something that when I started this journey, I didn't know existed. I didn't even know that this would be something that I would be able to do. But I was. And I must say that I look at my certificate often. I need to frame it. And I read my letter of acceptance often. And it's a reminder for me of all the things that I want to do and that I can do them. And it serves as, motivation and inspiration to continue this journey and to find other organizations, other databases, other places of information that I may not know about now, that may not even exist now, that may exist in the future, or I may even help, get something off the ground and running. You just never know where this journey is going to take me. And as excited as I was when I first started, and I first put my family history binder together, and it only had maybe 12 documents in it, it has grown a lot. It's now a 4-inch binder that's full. I need to transfer some information out of it. But I have come a long way, and I am very excited about where this journey is taking me, and I just can't wait to see what else is in the future. So if you are interested in learning more about the Sons and Daughters of the United States Middle Passage, please go to the website at www.sdusmp.org. And they have tons of information on it about how to become a member. They have information, like I said, they have different databases that has information that you can search in. You don't have to be a member to use to have access to some of their records. Just visit the website and you can get all the information you need. And that's really all I want to talk about today. Be sure to check out my blog at journeythroughthegenerations.wordpress.com. I write about my genealogy experiences, what I'm doing right now, what I've done in the past. There's some really good articles out there, so be sure to check that out. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Gen Journey Blog, GEN Journey Blog on Twitter. Thanks so much for listening. Can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.